Hello guys, Dylan Cologne here from PhotoThink, and today we're going to be talking about uniform selection tools. Those are the rectangular marquee tool and the elliptical marquee tool. We'll also get our feet wet in some manual selections using the polygonal lasso. So let's jump right in. To the left we have our toolbar, and you can see that our first selection tool has this little arrow to the bottom of it, meaning that if we hold down left click, you can see that a little menu pops up with some different options. We're not going to be talking about the single row marquee or the single column marquee tool, as they don't really pertain to what we're doing. So let's jump right into the rectangular marquee, and all you have to do to create a selection using this tool is you hold down left click and drag, and there it is, voila, our selection. Now if you wanted to deselect whatever you just selected, you just hit Control D. Alternatively, you create the selection, right click inside of it and hit deselect. Elliptical marquee tool is very similar. Left click, drag, and you get your elliptical. Simple. Now, let's jump right back into the rectangular marquee tool, and let's look at some of the quirks with using these tools. You can see that when I click and drag, it's creating the shape from the first corner that I click at. It's not creating it in the center. This can get a little confusing sometimes, as you might want to center your selection around the central point. So you just hold down Alt, click and drag, and suddenly your selection is now centered based on where you first clicked. Also, if you wanted to create a perfect square using the rectangular marquee tool, you can hold down Shift and it constrains your selection to a perfect square. Similar thing with the elliptical marquee tool. If you hold down Shift, perfect circle. You can combine the two to create a centered perfect selection. So if I click right here holding down Shift and Alt, you'll see that a perfect circle starts to come out right in the center. Very cool. You can also move your selection just by clicking and dragging your selection. This won't move parts of your picture. This will only move the selection itself. Keep that in mind. So you might be asking, well, what exactly do we use selections for? And I'm not going to get into that yet. We haven't talked about layers, and layers are very important when we're working with selections. So just keep that in the back of your mind that these do have very big uses. I just can't talk about them yet because we haven't introduced layers. So then let's jump into the polygonal lasso tool. Now this is entering manual selection territory, but it is a little simpler than some of the other manual selection tools, so I might as well introduce it here. To create a selection with the polygonal lasso, you're just simply clicking, 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 and finalizing your clicking right there. And there's your selection. Now, let's say you want to combine two selections. So let's say I create a square here, but then I want another selection over here with a circle. All I have to do is hold down Shift. And when I start holding down Shift, you see the little plus sign form next to the crosshair. This means that I'm going to add a selection on top of this selection, like so. Now, if our selection was to intersect, you'll see that this selection becomes one odd shape, and it is now combined. And we can move this around freely just as any other type of selection. So yes, that's our uniform selection tools. Next, we're going to be jumping right into the manual selection tools and talking a little bit more about those guys. After that, we'll get into some automated selections and talk about how to make them a little more accurate to just bring out the selections that you absolutely want. Well, thank you so much for watching. This is Dylan Cologne. Next episode coming up soon.